Hello, I'm Luke and I'm the founder of ProgressStudios, and I'm here today to teach you some AS3, Action Script Free. Action Script Free is a language for, if you don't know, it's for designing games. You can also design programs with it. You can do a lot with it. You can design websites and stuff. It's a quite nice little language, programming language to learn, and it's good for designing apps too, for the App Store and for the Play Store. And this is my website. The reason I'm teaching AS3 is for my competition, which is to make an app. You've got 3 months and there's going to be prizes like money, 100 to 200 pound. I'm not sure of the exact figures yet, but I know there's going to be prizes. But the real thing about it is you win part of the company. That means you win part of the revenue of the company, but the total revenue the company makes. You'll have to go to the about page of how the company works and read about it a bit, but I came here to teach you some simple AS3. Well, when we say simple, program's not really simple, so I'm going to teach you how to the basics. So if you're just starting programming, you're good to go. You can watch these tutorials. If you've done AS2 for ages and you can't go over to AS3, watch these tutorials as well, because these will teach you how to get from AS2 to AS3. So I'm working in Flash CS5 and I've just got an untitled document out. Why don't I just save it? If the folder's open. Oh, not responding. Great. Oh, there, it's responding now. That's a bit weird. Alright, I'm just going to create a folder called tutorial. AS3 tutorial, and I'm going to go projecting. Alright, okay, so we've got our stage basically, and in AS2 now you'd probably make a movie clip like a guy and then start coding on the frame, or making a movie clip and start putting code on him. But AS3 is a bit different. In AS3, also you can have classes in AS2, but in AS3 you have classes, action script free class. I'm not a professional in the AS3, so if I get things wrong, comment, tell us what I've done wrong, but I'm quite clued up with it. In AS3 you can have classes, and we want to make our first class. So what you would do, you would go new, action script class. I'm going to call it main. I always call my first class main. You'll understand in a second. We'll just save it. Save it in the same place is your project. So you got your AS3 class and your project, same place. And before start, what is a class? Basically, a class is a bunch of code functions which is kept outside. This is how I know what a class is kept outside the actual file, and you can have multiple classes. It makes it neater. It's object oriented programming. But I'm going a little bit too into it. Basically, all you need to know is you need your normal .fla file. I've called my project, and an AS class called main. It doesn't have to be called main, but I could not become my main. And how to get started? How, if you're asking, does the project know how to link this class? So click project, we'll go properties, and where it says class, type the name of the class, main. And this is why it has to be in the same kind of folder as it. So as it find it. So go project, type in main. In the class properties, main. I could go like that, you can find it. Alright. And by the end of this actual tutorial, well, not this tutorial, but this series of tutorials, I'm going to basically teach you how to put an app location on a phone. The noob version. Well, not the noob version, but not the noob way, but just a basic interview how to do it. So, to stop us rambling on, we'll just go over what we've got. We've got the project.fla, that's your flash file, and we've got a main.as class, which is linked with this in the properties of the project.fla. So now we can start coding. Just to run down, if you never saw a class before, you're probably thinking, what the hell? What's package? What's public class main? What's public function? Right, it's really simple. Package, here, the space between here to here, there and there. This is where you write all your imports. Import flash dot display dot movie clip. So you're asking, what does an import do? An import imports, like, can't explain it, imports the properties of what you're importing. So this is importing like go to and play, go to and stop. The reason Adobe has this is to make AS3 run better, because in AS2 you just have everything on hand, but in AS3 you have to tell the class what you want to use, like import movie clip, import sprite, import sound. There's loads, but you'll pick them up on the way. So instead going too much detail and confusing you, because you're probably now confused a bit, don't want to insult you, but if you've never saw AS3 before, you're probably like, what the hell's import? What's this package? Right. So basically, all you have to know is imports go here. You'll start seeing as important stuff and that, stuff like that. Next, but in between here to here, this is where you declare all your variables. If you don't know what a variable is, it's something that holds data. So var, oops, I didn't say var, let's say var bar string equals the best bar. So what have I done here? I've declared a variable. It holds data, and this one holds text, string. If we changed it to int, it would hold a whole number. If we changed it to number, it would hold whole numbers along with decimal numbers. So 1.5, like that. Okay, so now you probably know what a var is, a variable. Let's just run down again. Here you put your imports. Actually, let's run down from the start once more. We've got two files. We've got the project.fla, we've got the action script, .as, well, the main .as. This is where we code. This is where we design or where the game goes. And it links to the class with this main. Your imports go here. Don't need to worry about them too much yet. Your variables go here. Maybe worry about them a bit. And what goes here? This is your constructor. It gets called as soon as you start the project. Well, not the project, but as soon as you start, as soon as you start your FLA, your Swift file, this gets called. So why don't we do a little test? Right. Oh, sorry about that. I've got to go over something. Basically, before we do the trace, this here has to extend something. So extends movie clip. Right. See import appeared? You're probably thinking, what the hell, I got no idea what's going on. Right, basically we've just said that the main class .as class can do everything a movie clip can do. So like tracing that, everything a movie clip can do. And then the package nicely went and done for us is put this line in to say we're importing movie clips. So basically the package is bringing in the movie clip functions, and you're saying this can do everything a movie clip can do. Simple. Right, so now when we trace, hopefully you get foo, because this little bit of code gets called as soon as the game starts. So yeah, probably asking, you know how to do classes now? Well, the first main class, set up one class with the project. What can you do with classes? Well, it depends what kind of game you're making first. So I'm probably going to teach I don't want to teach a really difficult game for the first series of introduction from AS2 to AS3. I want to teach quite a simple game. But let's basically go through some things which are different from AS3 to AS2. In AS3, you don't do this. Like in AS2 you would write this dot underscore x equals 30. You don't write that in AS3. You'd write this dot x equals 30. Same for width, height, the y-axis and the z-axis if you want. That's if you're using 3D space. Right, so what game are we going to make? I just want to make something simple. It's not going to be this tutorial, but it's going to be carry on through the series. I think we should make, first of all, simple player movement maybes. Or we could make an asteroids game, because that's not too hard. So let's go. But first I'm just going to run through for the last time what we've done, because I really want these tutorials to be aimed simple but getting harder. So basically we've made two files, an AS file and a .fla. The .fla links the AS file to use it through its properties. Just click there, properties, like that. Right, this imports all the things you need. You declare all your vars here, variables. This extends whatever a movie clip can do, and this bit calls when the game starts. Right, and now one more thing to go over: event listeners. they're such a pain. But AS3 likes them and they want them. You can't code a game without an event listener. It's nearly impossible. I don't think you couldn't even have a loop without an event listener. No, what I know of. Basically, an event listener, if you don't know what it is, listens for an event. Kinda. So let's write a simple one. Stage dot add event listener. What type? See here, it's asking for what type of event listener. We're going to just put event dot enter frame. So it's like on enter frame in AS2, but event dot enter frame. This is how you would do in AS3. And for those people who are new to AS3, what does event dot enter frame do? Underscore enter frame. Basically, what event dot enter underscore frame does is it loops every frame. It loops a bit of code every frame. You'll understand in a second. Alright. Now, next, we'll write the function. So, loop. Like that. You can have more, like use capture, priority, weak reference, but I'm not going to go through them yet because that gets a little harder. So basically what you have to know, in every AS3 game you're going to have event listeners. This event listener adds to the stage and it gets checked every frame, and it's going to call the function loop. So we're going to write a function. Private function loop. Right. Why did I write private function? Why not public? There's two others, internal and what's the other one? Well, there's 4 different kind of functions you can have. Well, I don't know of. Private, public, internal, and protected. But we're going to go with private. What does private do? Private function. What private function does is it's only allowed to be used in this class. For when we get more classes, it's not allowed to be used outside the class. But for now, you don't have to worry about that. Basically, we'll add an event listener, which checks every frame, to call loop. Loop gets called. It's private, it can only get used inside here. And we're going to run a bit of code here. Right. Void. What does void do? Void means it doesn't return anything. If you've done AS3, AS2 before, you know you can return stuff with functions. If you don't know about return, just forget about it. You should use void on everything, unless you have a keyword like this in the function to return something. But I'm not going to go into returns now, it's getting too complicated. But because AS3 looks for every function to return something, you need to write void. There's some cases where you don't have to write void, like if you do mathematical equations and return them, but I'm not going to go into that. For this function, you write void. And one more thing, in the function parameters, event. And look, a new import flash.event. Event basically is this. So stage, the event listener gets added to the stage, it gets checked every frame, and loop gets called, and the kinda properties at that time of the stage and the frame gets sent through here. So we can write like something like a dot target dot alpha equals 50. You probably get error with this. Let's see. No, but we could write that, but we're not going to because it's stage. Don't think you can. The stage has the alpha property. But if you don't get what I mean about this a event, just don't leave it out because you need it. Because if we leave it out, we're going to get error. There, we get errors. So we need to have it. Alright. If this is getting a bit confusing, I'm going to run through the code again. So we've got imports, we've got the variables we're going to declare up here, we've got the function what runs when we start the game, we've got the event listener getting added to the stage and getting checked every frame and calling the loop. We've got a void, it doesn't return anything. We've got this event, what is the properties of the frame. Right. So now we're going to do some simple addition. So we're going to create a var variable private. You can have private, public, internal, protected. We're only going to go over private and public for now. Private means it's only available to this class. Public means it's available everywhere. We're going to use private for this. You'll soon understand when to use public and private. But yeah, right, private var let's say sum it's an integer because we're going to go up in whole numbers, and it equals sum 0. Actually, we're going to change the name to balance. In this loop, we're going to go balance plus equals 50. Trace balance. Right, so now we should see that every frame balance gets plussed by 50. See, downside, every frame is getting plussed by 50. And that's simple addition with AS3, adding stuff. Before I go, I want to do one more thing. I'm going to teach you how to make a button. Just draw a square, convert it to a movie clip, just going to call it symbol 1, properties, instance name of btn. So do you know what I did there? I drew a square, I highlighted it, I right clicked, I converted to symbol, I named it symbol 1, well I'll just keep it as the name, and then I clicked it again, and the instance name up here, named it btn. And now in our code, we're going to add event listener to that button, so that button's listening for an event. Are you starting to get event listeners now? It's the thing listening for something to happen. So btn, what should it listen for? A mouse event. Which mouse event? Dot. I'll show you some neat trick. Well, it's not a trick, well it's something. When we click dot, a big good of display list came up of what events we could use, what mouse events. To do that, we'll just import mouse events. Mouse event. So now, when we click the dot, a list of events, mouse events we can do, comes up. Oops. So we're just going to do click. loop. Just write the private function loop again. It's a mouse event. Right. Okay. It's a void. So if you're not confused now, basically what we have is we've added event listener to the button, the BTN. It's a click. It's a mouse event. It's a click of the mouse, and it triggers loop when it's clicked. When this happens, this gets triggered. Loop. It sends mouse event data through here, and I'll show you how to use that data now. It's easier to use with mouse event. Trace e.target. And if you AS2 scripters out there, you'll realise that this is more efficient than AS2. AS3 is more efficient and better. So we'll click this. It traces this. So we can do stuff like this. e.target.alpha. Alpha is how the opacity of it, if you can see through it, equals you can change the properties of it, e.target, because it gets sent through here, the target. Get what I mean? e.target. There. Do one more thing. Balance plus equal 50. Balance goes up. See, got 600 balance. Alright, I think I've taught a bit of how to get started with AS3. It can get complicated, don't get me wrong, so that's why I'm making more tutorials. So let's just go over. We've got the project. The project gets attached to the main AS class. We import stuff. It can do everything a movie clip can do. Private var, it's only available to itself. It's a variable, it holds data, holds integer, which is a number, whole number, called balance. Public function, it's the constructor code, so every time the game starts, when the game starts, that is, this always gets called first. btn.add event listener, this adds a listener to listen for a click on BTN. So BTN listens, basically this is saying BTN listen for a click, and if you hear a click, loop. Private function loop. Once this gets clicked, it gets called. This is a mouse event. This is the data what we can use, which gets sent with this, because every time event listener triggers or gets clicked, it sends data to the function, and this is the data we can use. It's a void, it doesn't return anything. I haven't really went over returns or nothing, but remember, just use void, and I'll tell you when you don't have to use it. We use E. We use the data to manipulate the properties of the button. But plus balance or trace balance. So it's quite simple piece of code. If you've done AS2 before, you're probably thinking, this is really simple, I need better stuff than this, I want to know how to make a game. Well, we're going to get onto all that making a game, but I just need to teach the basics, because if you just hop in straight into the hard stuff, you're going to run into errors, and it's going to slow your designing down. So I just need to teach you basics first, and then we can start building games for mobile projects. So don't forget to check out my website. If you are AS3 programmer, get involved with competition. Happy you do. be great to get started, get me company, well not just my company, but because there's a couple of designers I work with, but the company off the ground and get you involved. So thank you for watching, and please rate, subscribe, like if you want, but bye.